Hey folks, I'm Tennessee Brando with the MeidasTouch Network. Ron DeSantis has ran one of the most cringeworthy campaigns in the history of this country. And all of us here at MeidasTouch has showed you countless clips of this guy making a complete fool of himself across this country in some of the most awkward and cringeworthy clips that we could possibly show you. We didn't think it could even be real. We couldn't even think it would be that bad, but it's been that bad. It's been pretty entertaining to watch. But a blind squirrel does catch a nut every now and then. And Ron DeSantis is beginning to realize that if you speak out against Trump supporters and you don't parrot every single thing that Donald Trump says, they will go after you. Take a look at what DeSantis had to say here, and then let's talk about it.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis seems to have a new strategy to get elected president: go after Trump supporters.
We have a strand in our party that views supporting Trump as whether you are a rhino or not. And so you could be the most conservative person since sliced bread. Unless you're kissing his rear end, they will somehow call you a rhino. So if you're not rooted in principle, if all we are is listless vessels that's just supposed to follow, whatever happens to come down the pike on Truth Social every morning, that's not going to be a durable movement.
Okay, so Charlie, I've covered a lot of Trump rallies. I've talked to a lot of their supporters, and I can tell you right now, I'm calling it listless vessels is going to be on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
And if it's not already on one right now, what's the thinking?
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. No, it's a terrible strategy. And it's so frustrating because Ron DeSantis has such a tremendous record to run on. There's so much promise for him, but he is really failing. Like we have seen few politicians with so much going in their direction fail as badly as he has.
So for the first time in Ron DeSantis' campaign, I catch myself saying, yeah, I agree with you, Ron. If you speak against his supporters, they're going to come after you. They're going to turn on you. You know why? Because they don't care about the Republican Party. They don't care about anything but Donald Trump and Donald Trump's ego. That's what MAGA is. MAGA is not the party of anything but Donald Trump and his own ego. But Ron DeSantis doesn't get a pass for finally coming to this realization. I'm not going to sit here and give him a pass for all the shit he's pulled during his campaign. This guy's went around the country saying woke every 30 seconds. This guy is fascism 2.0. And he thought if he could go around doing a generic knockoff impression of Trump and waving his hands and quoting all Trump's talking points that he would be able to come ahead in the polls. But he failed miserably because they don't want to hear him repeat Trump's bullshit. They want to hear Trump say it, and they're going to get behind Trump and continue to say it no matter what. And I love what the host said there. The host said, well, I can see these people now coming up with shirts that says listless vessels. She's right, they will. Just like they did when Hillary Clinton called them deplorable, now they'll have these shirts that says, we're proudly the listless vessels. And if I sat here and called them, if I just made up a name off the top of my head, let's see, okay, Donnie's dipshits. If I sat here and called them Donnie's dipshits every time I referred to them and they caught wind of it, hey, there's this guy named Tennessee Brando calling us Donnie's dipshits, they would have shirts that said, I'm a proud Donnie's dipshit. That's the kind of people that are fired up and ready to vote. That's the kind of people who do not give a damn about any of the issues at hand. They do not give a damn about all the rights that's been stripped away from our fellow Americans. They don't care about any of that. All they care about is owning the libs. They care about owning me and you. They see these MeidasTouch videos. They see what we're about. They see them being passed around. Do you think they care about all the evidence and truth and facts that we put on the table? No, all they want to do is own us and try to make us look stupid. And that's why they're going to be lined up in droves to vote on Election Day, is all because they want to own the libs and they want to protect Donald Trump's ego. Because he empowers their ego. Just like Donald Trump cannot admit to losing the election, they can never admit to being played, because to admit to being played would bruise their own ego. And he empowers that too much. That's why they didn't care about what Ron DeSantis had to say. They didn't want the knockoff version. They never wanted that. I've always compared them to WWE events. I've always said that's what they're like. Back in the day, if a bad guy got called a certain name, people would show up in the crowd and hold up signs with that name on it. That's always been MAGA's shtick here. We're watching the WWE play out in front of us. And it's pretty disgusting. But they are lined up and they're ready to vote. They think the 2020 election was stolen. They're going to come even harder in this one. That's why people like us can't rest on our laurels. That's why people like us can't start splitting hairs. We can't start saying, well, I don't really like what Joe Biden said the other day, or I really don't like the way he handled this situation, or I really don't like what I heard about this, so I'm just going to stay home on election day, or I'm going to vote third party. When you do that, what you're doing is empowering a potential second Donald Trump presidency. If you think the first one was a train wreck, let me tell you, this next one is going to be nothing more than a revenge presidency, and he ain't leaving. Do you think he's going to get in there and someone's going to say, oh, you only get to do 4 more years because presidents can only serve 8 years? Do you think he's honestly going to say, oh, well, yeah, cool, I'll just do 4 more and I'll go home? No. No, he wants a dictatorship and he wants to be here to stay. And he will do it at all cost. For all the people out there that says, oh, you know, I can't believe they're doing this to him. They're indicting him in the middle of his campaign. No, he's campaigning in the middle of all these indictments to take the heat off of himself, to try to distract his followers, so that people will continue to say things like, well, he's trying to expose them and they're coming after him. It's a time that we all have to really keep our eye on the ball more than ever. And we have to get out there and vote, and we have to encourage people to vote. And when you have people that are on the fence, when you have independents who are on the fence and you're talking with them, you got to understand they're going to be watching a lot of mainstream media, and therefore they're not going to be seeing a lot of the things that Trump is saying and doing, because the mainstream media, they love to just stir the pot and keep the fires burning in this story. They don't come at it with the truth the way we do here on MeidasTouch. They don't come at it with the facts that we present every day. So a lot of independent voters are going to be sitting back going, well, I didn't know all that. That's why it's so important to get the MeidasTouch videos out there to people. That's why people like my mom and dad, who are in their 70s, sits and listens all the time, because they got sick and tired of the way the mainstream media portrayed it. They realized that the mainstream media was trying to turn this into a WWE event, and they didn't want to play along. They wanted to hear what was actually going on. And that's why it's so important that we share these videos and get them out there, because here, we're not sitting over here going, well, Trump's got a nice new plane. That's an interesting strategy. No, the man's a deranged maniac, okay? He's a cult leader. He's coming after democracy. Look, here's how he did it. We're showing you. I'm the guy reacting. But the other contributors on here are really good at showing you everything that's going on. And that's why you need to tune in. Listen to the podcast. Listen to the MeidasTouch podcast. Listen to Legal AF and learn the facts about what is happening. Because if you just turn on mainstream media, you're just going to see the circus, and then you may not be as inspired as we are. You may not be as inspired to vote as we are. If you really knew everything that was going on, trust me, you would get more inspired and you would talk to more people. Hey, this is a crucial time in our country when democracy is on the line, and we got to stand up and fight for it. Ron DeSantis learned too little too late that he couldn't be a knockoff version of Trump and win. But he gave us some good laughs along the way. And one of my favorite things about being part of the MeidasTouch network is when Ron DeSantis goes around doing this and then shaking people's hands, we called it for exactly what it was. Ron DeSantis wipes booger on a voter. Because that's what happened. Hard telling how the mainstream media would have phrased that. They probably would have never even touched it. But we come at it with what's really going on. This man's a grifter. This man's a con artist. Everybody stand up and pay attention. Keep sharing those videos. Keep hitting that subscribe button and get our videos out there for your friends and your Fox News watching uncles to see, because they need to hear the truth. And until next time, I'm Tennessee Brando. And if you guys keep tuning in, I'll keep telling you the truth.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.